Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen, and councillors, and everyone else who's online. And welcome to this meeting of the Somerset East Planning Authority, or Planning Committee, I should say. Bear with me while I read out first the chair's announcements for the hybrid committee. So here we go. So, this meeting is taking place in the council chamber, Shepton Mallet. Hold on, I haven't put my glasses on. Right, I'll start again. This meeting is taking place in the council chamber at Shepton Mallet, and we have members of the planning committee, officers, public speakers, and members of the public physically present in the chamber. We also have members of the public watching the meeting on Teams. Cameras within the council chamber allow us to film the meeting for viewers on Teams and also record the meeting. Therefore, any members of the public present should be aware that they may be recorded if they are not participating in the meeting. If this causes you any concern, then please let me know now. Okay, thanks. Members who have brought their own device with them should ensure that their cameras are switched off, and very importantly, their device microphone and speakers are muted for the duration of the meeting. Otherwise, this causes feedback on the council sound system. Public speakers contributing to the meeting virtually should switch their cameras off and put their microphones on mute until they are invited to speak by the chair. It is not permitted for any other member of the public viewing by Teams to contribute to the meeting at any time. Should any members of the planning committee wish to speak, please raise your hand and catch the attention of myself, the vice chair, the legal advisor, or lead officers. When members in the chamber speak, remember to switch on your desk microphone so that all those in attendance and viewing can hear you. Please do not use the chat function within Teams for anything. All contributions must be made verbally. Please can all mobile phones be set to silent? And thank you. And then we'll move to apologies for absence. Helen, please.
Thank you, Chair. So we've had apologies from councillors Helen Kay, Claire Sully and Adam Boyden, and Councillor Roswyk is subbing for Adam Boyden. And at the moment, Councillor Susanna Hart has not yet arrived. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. So, should we wait another couple of minutes before we go on, Councillor Hart, or should we just carry on? Just carry on. Okay, that's what we will do. Right, so I think next we do our I've got to get, hold on. Sure. It's the and I've got a little problem here again. Someone was having. Yeah, minutes from the previous meeting. Is that correct, or do we need to do the public speakers first?
No, so the next agenda item is the minutes from the previous meeting, and this is for the minutes that were held on two meetings on the 7th of January. So there was a 10 a.m. meeting and a 2 p.m. meeting, and I believe there's a proposal you're going to make for the 10 a.m. meeting for an addition.
And thank you for that, Helen. I think we'll do the 10 a.m. one first, and I'll make the proposal. And I'm going to read out the proposed amendment to the minutes of the meeting held on the 7th of January 2025 at 10 a.m. regarding agenda item 4, planning application 2023-1515 out land at Gypsy Lane, Wells. Right, I will read this. I believe the seconder will be Councillor Tony Robbins. So the comments made by one of the public speakers who was speaking in objection to the application and the subsequent response from the legal advisor at that meeting has not been included in the minutes. I think it should be included, so I propose that the following paragraph is added to the minutes. Mr. Ivor Tetley spoke an objection to the application and raised a query regarding the process and procedure that was followed to bring the application back to the planning committee. He questioned why the decision notice for the application had not been issued in a timely manner following its refusal at the 3rd of December 2025 meeting, resulting in it being brought back to committee for reconsideration in light of the changes to the MPPF. He said he felt that the committee was being asked to reconsider and reverse its decision and queried the procedural rules which would allow this to happen. In response, the legal advisor stated that the Chief Planning Officer was able to bring matters back to the committee under the Delegated Powers Part 2. Is it 2 or 12? Part I2 of the Scheme of Delegation for Officers, paragraph 134. He advised that the required full 5 clear working days had been given from the date of the agenda publication. He said that if the committee were to decide to refuse the application again and it went to appeal, the planning inspector would test the appeal under the new MPPF. Therefore, it was important for the committee to also consider it under the rules of the new MPPF. He added that every reason for refusal must be defendable at appeal. Do I have a seconder for this? Which I do. Tony. Okay, so we better have a vote. All those in favour of this? Okay. All those against? We've got one person against. Is that right?
No, just pointing to us.
Oh, pointing to. So okay. Okay. Can we put our hands up again, please? All those in favour. Helen, can you take the count? All those against? Anyone abstaining? Okay. Thank you. So that's that one sorted. So we'll leave that. Now we're going to go on to the other meeting. Oh, Phil, sorry.
That's correct. That's correct. It was a typo. So it was December 2024, but you were read out December 2025 because I wrote it down wrong. But correct, it's December 2024.
I should have spotted that one. Too busy concentrating on reading it, I think. Okay.
But most of us actually remember the meeting, and we know that it was.
Yeah. So we're done with that bit now. Okay, so we're going to go on and do God, get my tongue around this. The minutes for the other meeting on the same day. Okay. Which I've just got to find on here. Got it. Okay, so we go to page 13, according to mine. Yep. Yes, Dawn.
So there's an apology for absence for Councillor Adam Boyden, but he was in the meeting and he spoke, and there is reference to him further down in the minutes. So if we could just have that updated. It said apologies for Councillor Adam Boyden, but he was in the meeting.
Just want to make sure people are looking at the 2 p.m. meeting,
2 p.m.,
which was probably published as a supplement.
Yeah.
Yeah. You are looking at the supplement.
Yeah, page 3 of the supplement for the 7th of January to the 2 p.m.
Okay. I'll correct that. Thank you.
Page 14. Page 15. Page 16. Page 17. Page 18. Page 19. Page 20. And 21. Okay, can I have a proposer, please? Edric, and a seconder? I'm not sure which of you come first. Okay, Tony first. Okay, all those in favour of accepting? Okay, all those against? Any abstentions? No, right, thank you. Back to the agenda. Okay, I will mention, just for anybody who's interested, Susie was a little bit late arriving, but she's here in time for this one so that she can vote. So that'll be okay. That's all right, it happens. We hang on a couple of minutes for you. Right, so if I'm right now, we go on to application, agenda item.
Yeah.
Yep, Prime Minister.
Declarations of interest.
Oh yes, declaration of interest. We've got one.
No, you haven't got one. I would like to declare I haven't got one. This land was previously owned by my brother-in-law, who sold the land even prior to the outline planning permission. So I just like to point out, if anybody knows this all locally, that I have actually no connection to anybody of anything to do with this. Just for clarity, we go, well, Edric's brother-in-law sold the land, so it's nothing to do with me. Okay.
Very sensible. Okay. Okay, thanks. So we've done the declaration of interest. Now we can go on to the application, which I think, Ed, are you
Yeah, we've
here?
just got public question time, but there aren't any.
No questions, no
public questions,
no.
just to record that we've
Well,
covered
we've
that.
done that
item.
one just now.
Yep. No.
Okay,
Jennifer's, I think.
yeah. So who's doing this one? Jennifer, is it? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so this application relates to Victoria Farm, Bath Road, Hayden, near Wells. It's the reserved matters, sorry, it's spelled wrong, for the erection of 7 dwellings. So this is following outline approval, which was granted in November 2022 for the demolition of the existing farm buildings and farmhouse and replacement of 7 new build dwellings. Matters of access, appearance, landscaping, layout and scale are to be determined at this current stage. Okay, so the red circle up here shows the location of the site. It's approximately 4 kilometres north east of Wales, which is down in the bottom corner. And then a closer view of the site. Okay, as you see, it's along the Bath Road. There's a residential dwelling and small holding opposite the site. And so this gives you a more accurate view of the actual site itself. So it's a former agricultural unit. As you can see the former agricultural buildings there on the site. This has now been cleared, so none of those buildings currently existing. There was also a farmhouse and a historic public house on the site as well. So this image just shows the location of the site in proximity to the scheduled ancient monuments. So they're in the purple circles. They're in the adjoining field, which is separated by a dry stone wall along the field boundary. And again, over to the west of the site, again in the neighbouring field. So existing site plan and location plan, again showing the existing agricultural buildings that are on the site. There's also a dew pond just here near the highway, and the existing access comes in here off the Bath Road. So this is the proposed scheme for 7 dwellings. The dew pond is retained in this corner here at the top of the site. The access is moved, so where it used to be to the left of the dew pond, it's now been moved to the right. And these are the 7 dwellings. So this dwelling here in the north right corner. So that would be the proposed farmhouse style dwelling, and then the other 6 are to be more traditional agricultural style barn dwellings. Okay, it also shows the tracking of how vehicles were enter and exit the site, and the hard landscaping as well as a key on the left hand side. Okay, so the landscaping for the site, as you can see down both edges, there's areas that have been kept clear of development, and there'll be dedicated biodiversity net gain areas with additional planting, kind of meadow flower and rough kind of scrubland. So these act as a buffer between the development of the site and then the wider landscape. And the hard landscaping plans, which shows the internal estate roads, the patios, pavings. It also shows the suds drainage in each garden, the soakaways, each of these dotted squares. So the sections of the site, you see BB runs along the highway. So this would have been the existing section that you would have seen from the highway, and to the bottom of that, the BB is the proposed section that would be viewable from the highway. The AA section runs through the centre of the site. So again, centre of the site looking east, I should say. So AA is the existing at the top, and then near the bottom, this would be the proposed section. In terms of each of the units, so these are the elevations for Unit 1, which is the proposed farmhouse style dwelling. So this dwelling's got more of a uniform appearance, slightly more domestic features. I see it's floor plans and the elevations, again, fairly simple in design. So Unit 2, so we're moving on to the more barn style dwellings. See the tall height windows which reflect open bays. A single story attached garage. All these dwellings also have solar panels. They also all come with air source heat pumps as well. So this would be Unit 3 and 5. And so there's a mix of materials. It's natural stone walling and timber cladding for the barn style buildings. The farmhouse would be natural stone and render with a clay tile roof. These have a slate roof. So there's a bit of a mixture in materials to add some more kind of interest to the scheme, less of a uniform appearance. Then Unit 7, again, timber cladding and natural stone with some full height windows, which are reflective of open bays that you would find in agricultural buildings. So the access to the site, so obviously the Bath Road, if anyone knows it, it is quite a fast road, but they have provided tracking which shows that large vehicles, including refuse trucks, fire appliances, can enter and access the site safely. And there's plenty of room in the site for the turning and manoeuvring of these vehicles as well. So this is just to show you a better view of the existing, or as was, agricultural unit on the site. It was fairly dilapidated. You can see the former Victoria farmhouse at the rear, and then the former Victoria Inn as well, which was required to be surveyed and recorded as part of the outline permission, which has been done, and the condition has been discharged. Again, just another view of the former agricultural unit. Again, you see the farmhouse, the former Victoria Inn, and the agricultural buildings. And these are just some photos from the ground. So you see they're all fairly modern agricultural buildings, still framed. So that's the farmhouse on the right-hand side, and then the access on the left-hand side. And so that's the former Victoria Inn, I believe, on the left-hand side. And just a few more pictures of the site. Some of the steel frame metal sheeted buildings. And so this is the site currently. So they have cleared the site. So the buildings have gone, but no construction has actually started, apart from on the dry stone wall, which is no issues with that being commenced. Yeah, another photo looking opposite direction. And so this photo kind of shows you the location of the scheduled monument, which is this mound in the background with the red arrow pointing to it. Okay, and the recommendation on this one is to approve with conditions. Okay, thanks very much.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. Very good. Okay, public speakers, we just have Mr. Jason Jackson from Jackson Architects, please. And you have 3 minutes, Jason. Cheers. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Jason Jackson, Jackson Architects, and we're agents for the application. I have to say it's been quite exciting designing a scheme for Victoria Farm. The remote location within open countryside makes this a rare opportunity and one which needed a very different approach to the average small housing development. If you stand in the middle of the farm, you can see at least a mile in most directions with a scattering of agricultural buildings and I think just one single house. Likewise, Victoria Farm is visible from a vast area of countryside and is particularly prominent on the main route into Wells. The outline planning permission for the site indicated a suburban cluster of detached 4-bedroom executive homes with integral garaging and decorative sweeping drives, a form we firmly believed was inappropriate and incongruous. Our concept and proposal is to create a development which, when viewed from a distance, should have a familiar appearance of a large farm complex. Our design statement goes into far more detail than we have time for here, but the key to our design is the creation of 2 new farmyards enclosed by the barn-like houses with garages grouped to resemble stables or byres. These sit aligned to each other or corner to corner, as you would expect to see around a typical farmyard. There is a diagram perhaps that splits the 2 farmyards. The barns are simple in form, avoiding the domestic trappings of modern houses like chimney stacks, porches, and heaven forbid clock towers. They're designed using a muted palette of dark grey slate, blue lias walling, dark metal glazing, and natural timber finishes, which will weather like the Yorkshire boarding on many local cattle sheds. The glazing is either like that of a cart hall that's been infilled, or random like some farmhand has knocked them through wherever he fancied. This contrasts with a classically designed but new Victoria farmhouse, which has regular sash windows, a clay pantile roof, and a domestic form. It sits in a prominent position against the road, guarding the entrance and overlooking the restored historic dew pond. From a distance, the effect will be to echo the traditional forms of hay barns and single-storey stabling of a 19th century farm, a familiar form to all of us in the rolling countryside. I should also point out the development will be very eco-friendly. I mean, new housing is designed to be incredibly energy efficient anyway, but the site will also benefit from photovoltaic generation from the solar panels sitting flush on the slate roofs. Fresh water is supplied from a new borehole. The rainwater is harvested and foul drainage is treated on site. We're also providing 2 large biodiversity enhancement areas to the east and west boundaries. And whilst they're not intended to screen the development as such, the tree groups and native hedging in each will help soften the visual impact and blend it into the countryside. Not only will the scheme dramatically improve first impressions when driving into Wells, but we believe this could set a new benchmark of sympathetic redevelopments for sites of this type. I'm happy to take questions, but we ask for your support in approving this application. There you go.
And thank you. And that was dead on 3 minutes. You practiced that,
I have, yes, of course.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, members, open to you. Rog, you're the first one.
Thank you, Chair. I think I've got 2 or 3 questions and perhaps a couple of statements. First of all, can the officer tell me what are the conditions related to external lighting on the site? It's an unadopted road, and so I assume no street lighting can be required. And I just wondered about something else, whether any other controls. I'm very aware that, as the architect has said, this is a very, very visual site. It sits right slap bang on the entrance to Wells, and we do not need in dark countryside, particularly as it's an area which can be viewed, and we all know about Mendip Hills National Landscape and things like that. We need to reduce the amount of light leakage out of this site. The second question I have is that while I totally recognise and understand and appreciate what the architect has said about the approach to the site, the one thing which really troubles me is the skylights. And one of them seems to be the second of the designs. I'm not sure why there has to be a skylight there when you could actually move the bathroom nearer the wall and actually put the walkway between them. It just seems to me it's unnecessary. And I really do think if we're going to have a beacon site, which I'm delighted in terms of a lot of the features on this site, there should be no roof lights at all. Absolutely none. And I feel that we need to start respecting that in the countryside. It will come in with the new local plan. It's with the government around dark skies, etc. And this is a very privileged site. It's open countryside, as you rightly say. It can be seen from long time around. And huge effort has been put in to make it a beacon site, and I'm delighted about this. But this is a real failure, and I can't support having Velux lights. There's no need for them on the designs we've seen in front of them, and I'm sure that it can be reconsidered without the Velux. And if we're going to have Velux, then they should be automatically blinded with a light switch. But really, you know, you can't call this a beacon site with street lights, which I hope we won't have, and particularly with roof lights, because just to remind everybody, a roof light, the light bounces off the clouds above and actually spreads out, and it is well recognised. And we are a dark sky community on the Mendip Hills, and I just feel that this is letting us down on this particular issue. So can the officer tell me what constraints do we have on other than the roof lights?
Yeah, so there is a condition for external lighting. So no external lighting is proposed currently, and the condition will require that any external lighting will have to be discharged through a discharge conditions application, and they'd have to produce a lighting design for BATs along with that lighting scheme. So we have quite a lot of control over any external lighting on the site.
Okay. Thank you. Can I just follow this? If it's a discharge condition, it will just sit with a planning officer, not necessarily you. How can we actually ensure that whoever looks at it as a planning officer is aware of that concern?
Have you got an answer, Jen?
Yeah, so any officer that picks this up obviously will have a look at the history on the site. It's a lighting design for BATs, so it's quite restrictive in what they can and can't do in terms of lighting. Obviously, it will sit with a planning officer, but ecology would be involved with that as well. And impact on the landscape would also be a consideration.
Could the condition mean a referral to the ward member? Because this is a really a very, very sensitive site for dark skies. And I'm looking at a ward member as I speak. And yes.
Yeah, we can defer to the chair. So any application that comes in, we can be in discussion with the chair, vice chair.
So that would be the chair, the vice chair, and the other member of the other division member, which is Tony.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can do that.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, thanks, Ros, for that. Rob, you're next.
Yeah. Oh, just briefly, I mean, Councillor White makes a very interesting point. I'm just wondering if we can have another look at the picture to see where the Velux windows actually were, so we can see what the problem actually is.
So just try to find which slide would be the best to display to show that. Okay. Okay. So this is unit 1, which I don't think has on there. So this one does have a roof lights here, which would be on the northeast elevation, I believe that says. Sorry, text is very small on my screen. So this one also has a roof lights. This one has smaller roof lights here. And yeah, one more roof light here.
I believe the previous one had a roof light as well. That's so unit 7, unit 6, and unit 5 and 3.
You got it now, Rob?
Yeah, if you want to say something.
Yeah.
Mr. Jackson wants to make a mistake.
Okay, so I'm just going to hold fire a second on any more. The agent wishes to make a comment. I think we'll allow it this time. If you'd like to quickly. Just that comment
Just about
on
the
that,
roof light.
please.
Yes, sure. I was just going to say your officer has already raised this as a potential issue. And we've identified a couple of the smaller roof lights which we can omit if the councillors see fit. And we have offered to put blinds on the larger roof light banks if necessary. I have to say I'm not very keen on that. Most of them actually light an internal stairwell, so gaining other forms of light into those stairwells wouldn't be that easy. And we have actually presented to Jenny Alvis an analysis of the Dark Skies map from the Campaign for Protection of Rural England and the relative impacts of the farms around it and housing as well, and the comparison between farms and housing and so on. So perhaps I'll hand back to Jenny for that one.
Right, many thanks for your bit of help there. Cheers, clarification, I should say. Rob, have you got anything else to add? Okay, back to Barry. Barry first, yeah.
Thank you, Chairman. These Velux roof lights, people do get quite upset about them, but they do get a lot of people out of a lot of trouble, particularly when they're added to existing dwellings. These are not existing dwellings, they are brand new and they are just done for convenience. And I don't think I agree. I agree with Ross. I don't think in this instance there's any reason for Velux windows to go into a new development which are supposed to be perpetuating stone barns and the look of farm buildings that would have been there many years ago. So I would absolutely not have Velux windows, other than to say, and I'm sure Mr. Jackson's aware, there are grid systems that you can fit over them that stop the light coming out at night. but it doesn't stop the light going in during the day. So there are ways round it if Mr. Jackson insists on having Velux windows. Otherwise, I think they shouldn't be there at all. And the other point is my usual complaint. These houses, they're very nice houses, but they got scratty little gardens. Some of the gardens are less than the footprint of the house. And can I ask the planner if we can have permitted development rights taken away on this estate, please? Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Edric, it's your turn. Is it?
Let
No,
Ros-
are you going to let Ros come back in
respond,
first?
Then I'll go.
Okay, Ros, you can come back.
Okay, thank you, Barry. I'm glad you support. This is such a unique site. I mean, must admit I'm astounded it got planning, but given it has, let's make sure that we've got a beacon site. And the beacon site doesn't mean that it's lit up at night. Farm buildings, unless it's in the middle of the lambing season or something, you do not have lights on all the night. And if these are lighting internal stairwells, you know that in most houses the stairwell lights are on 24/7 with kids around and going to bathrooms and all the other things. So it's quite a significant contribution. And while each site is only another light, cumulatively, as we build more and more houses, we need to have some really strong guidelines around this. And I'm glad that the planning officer has taken it up and considered it. But given this is a special site, let's make sure we get it really the quality, as you say, indicative of future planning applications. Thank you.
Thank you, Ros. I will say something though, and I'm not sure, maybe Rob will be able to bear me out. You do find some light in the countryside in the evening. Some farmers keep their lights on when their cattle are in all night long. Locally, they do to Glastonbury and in that direction. And I think Rob would know the same, seriously. Yeah, okay, that's all right. Just wanted to say that. Okay, who's next? Edric's next.
Thank you. As my statement at the start, I obviously know this site very, very well, and I was in favour of development, and I would have spoken first, as it's my division. I would have put my hand up. I know Ros would have wanted to passionately speak about light pollution. I totally agree with her and Barry. On a new build, there is no excuse for light pollution being emitted from this site, and I'm aware of how sensitive the site is and where you can see it from. Not least my brother-in-law's house where it still exists, which is round the corner on the road just before Tom Killen's house, and it would stand like a sore thumb with any light pollution. I won't support this under its current guise unless alterations are made to the roof line. I wholeheartedly agree with Councillor Clark and Councillor Wyke.
Whoops. Thank you, Edric. We've got nobody else to wish to speak yet. So yes, we do. Good. Martin, your hand was up just before dawn.
Yeah, I won't be very long. I couldn't. Are there any S106 conditions there? I haven't seen anything.
No section 106 required. No, not for this one. Sorry, no section 106.
Okay, thank you, Jenny, for that answer. Yeah, Dawn, please.
Thank you. I just have a question about the Barrow access. Is there a requirement to have public access to the scheduled monument, or is that not required?
No, there's not currently any public access to the scheduled monument, so there'd be no requirement to provide that.
Because there were concerns raised by Historic England, and I believe that there's been some mitigation in the design, so they changed the design. Is that correct, according to the concerns from Natural England, Historic England?
They did move some of the dwellings slightly further away from the boundary with the field, which has the historic monument, ancient monument. I think the main objection was it would impact on the isolation of the scheduled ancient monument, but obviously the outline has already been granted, so something is going to go on that site. So it's just a matter of mitigating that what is going to go on there, which we think has been achieved through this design.
And with a stone wall, I mean, it's, you know, the stone wall, it states that it will be retained, but I'm just concerned because the stone wall obviously is quite historic and important to the site, just to be sure that it's like set in stone. that there's no way that that can be removed, which would be great just to kind of protect what's already there. Thank you.
Yeah, it's proposed that the stone wall remains, and we can put a condition on as well to reinforce that.
Okay, thank you for the answer, Jenny, and thank you for the question, Dawn, because it was a very relevant question. Very good question. Thank you. Anyone else wish to make a comment? Yeah, Martin D.
Doesn't want to work. Oh, yes, it does. No, right. On the matter of external lighting, is it possible to give delegated authority to the planning officer to deal with that issue?
Jenny, if you'd like to answer that, or Tom?
Yes, thanks, councillor. So my understanding is on that lighting condition, we would, in consultation with the chair, vice chair, and the ward councillor, seek to make sure that was appropriate lighting design.
Sorry, I'm backtracking, aren't I? Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Martin. Yeah, Phil, you're next. Roger.
Thank you, Chair. I've known this site all my life, and I think this is a fantastic improvement of what was there before. Quite surprised that we actually got 7 on the site, but hey ho, that's what we've got. I go along with what Ross has said about the lights, but I'm sure that could be mechanically controlled by, as soon as it gets dark, blinds come down, or there must be some mechanism that they have to be blinded at night. And if they're, I mean, I don't see the point of them being open at night anyway, so, because they're not going to get any light at night. So on those grounds, I would like to recommend approval.
Thank you. So that's a proposal from Phil, seconded by Susie. Ros?
Just wanted to raise 2 other minor issues. I appreciate why there's a lack of 106 agreement, but even with 7 houses, the children may be going to Pridgey School, and it'd be great to, I know Pridgey School well, and I know they struggle well on all sorts of things. And also I assume that we have no active travel. Are you making the assumption that no one will attempt to leave the site by bicycle because of the speed of the road? But there are, active travel needs in the community. And I know full well that the Pridgey residents use the paths around the community too.
Okay, Jenny, yeah.
So there was actually a section 106 at the outline stage, sorry, I forgot to mention that, which required the bus stop to be moved, which has been done. And there's a pedestrian link now from this site to the new bus stop location. In terms of active travel, we are conditioning bike storage for each dwelling on site. Otherwise, there's not too much really that can be done from this site given its location. There's no kind of footpaths, unfortunately. But yeah, so bike storage will be provided. And I think in terms of contributions to primary schools, that would have been something that was looked at the outline stage rather than reserved matters necessarily. But because it's only a minor application, it wasn't required, so we never consulted.
Okay, thanks, Jenny. Rose, do you need to come back, or are you okay?
I hope the new residents are generous to the local primary school.
Okay, thanks. Edric, you wish to come in again?
Can I short comment, Ros? I think you're wrong about the school they go to, because Horrington is just down the road. I think I go to Horrington School, not Pridgey from there. It's a kilometre down the road on the bus route. So I'm actually going to correct you on that one and disagree with you.
I think you're probably right, though I do know somebody who that the Pridgey School takes children quite considerable distance, and I still think Horrington needs help too.
Okay, thanks, Ros. Thanks, Tom. You wish to come in?
Thank you, Councillor Cockle. Councillor, I haven't made a proposal. I just wanted to check what specifically the condition wording would be.
I was about to go there now, just after make sure, and ask Phil for exactly what you would like on your proposal.
Oh, that was already covered. The proposal is that the chair and vice chair and the divisional members dealt with the lighting. And that was the only.
Tom obviously wants to come back and give a bit of
sorry.
assistance.
Yeah, so that was on the lighting, and then on the roof lights, skylights, was it mechanical blinds?
Yeah.
On all of them, or any other issues? I mean, you're at liberty to
just
suggest.
blinds.
I don't want to put words in councillor's mouth, so if anyone wanted to.
I don't know if you can have mechanical blinds, but blinds that.
Or whether they're any other.
Keep the light in at night, simple as that.
I'll leave you to debate the specifics of that. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Do we all understand that? Martin D. No, not Martin. Martin.
Susan?
I was just going to say, you just need blackout blinds, and those Velux things, you can buy them with inbuilt blinds, and you can buy them so that it's, press a button electric, as opposed to needing to kind of find a pole and whatever. So it is relatively simple.
Don't get used.
Thanks. Ros first.
You can, if you're going to do it, and I've had a long discussion with the Velux technical director, you can buy blinds which you work on the light switch. So if you switch the light on, it does that. But because this is such a special site, I think on this occasion we say no, full stop, because this is the one which is going to be so visible, and it's got so much to commend it, that this has to be part of that package. And I think there's been a lot of thought around the layouts and the appearance of the properties, and I applaud that. But this has to be done to make sure that we've now got forgive me, I've forgotten the word, but the ideal appearance. Exemplar. Thank you very much. I knew you'd.
I would. Yes, I see where you're coming from. Okay, Martin, you're next. You had your hand up.
Martin was pointing out Susie wants to speak.
Oh, right. Okay, so Rob, you definitely had your hand up. So
No, Susie
said no.
Again, by the way.
Okay, Susie's coming back. Okay.
So maybe we ask the architect, is it viable to swap out those dormers for, swap out those Velux for dormers, because that's the kind of only.
He's a professional architect who knows full well what he could do within the constraints of the site.
Okay. I don't think we'll get into a full-on argument here over that. Phil?
I'm being a little bit sympathetic towards the design, because what I was told earlier, they are at the top of staircases. So if you're going to black them out, you're going to make staircases dangerous, which means you'll put a light on, which means you're using more carbon all day long when you don't need to. So I don't see how you get light into a stairwell without having it on in that position.
Once you have lights, and there you go through, and then magnify the light down, the light currents or something.
Tubes that go through the roof, yes.
Yeah, I think we can look at those. I think if that comes back to the chair and vice chair and the member over there. Barry, you wish to come back?
Yeah, can I just reiterate, Chair, that there is no need for Velux windows in a modern, newly designed building. You put the windows in the right place and they suit the rooms. You don't put the rooms where you can get as many rooms in as you want and then think, oh, I'll have a Velux like that. That will sort that out. Absolutely against Velux windows in this situation.
Okay. Well, I think we all had our say, and we're going to go to a vote on this one, which is something which is controversial, which I didn't think would be. Okay. All those, yes, Helen.
Can we just make clear then that the proposal from Councillor Ham is still to include Velux windows, but with blinds? Is that what the proposal is, or are we taking notice of Ros and Councillor Clark about not having any valets at all.
Hold on, we'll go to Dawn in a minute, then we'll go back to Tom here to give us a definitive.
Oh, hang on one sec, it's coming back. I thought we were going to say we're happy with what's here, well, we'll go with what's here, but any lighting issues delegated. So then that would go through the chair, vice chair and the member. And then you've been aware of our discussion, so you know what we want and what we don't want.
Thank you, Dawn. That was my thinking as well, to be truthful. Tom or Ed?
If I can just provide a bit of a recap. Regarding the external lighting condition that we've already got in, as far as I was following the debate, that was to come back to the chair and vice chair and the divisional member to confirm any issues in terms of external lighting arrangements around the building and for bats and whatnot. In terms of the roof lights that are within the building, I think depending on what members want to propose, we've got a couple of options. We can add an additional condition for automatic blinds on those existing roof lights. What I think we might struggle to do is do a redesign here and now, i.e. completely omit all those roof lights. I think you've got to determine what's in front of us. And once we start talking about the emission of roof lights that are in the existing buildings, I think we're probably straying a bit too far away. So we could add a condition, as I think Councillor Ham was going towards, that included the automatic mechanical closure of those roof lights with blinds during hours of darkness. And I think Councillor Denton was also talking about a condition to control the retention of the dry stone wall as well. So I just think there needs to be a little bit of extra clarity on the proposal going forward. So that's just a bit of a recap from how I heard the debate going, if that's helpful.
Sounds okay to me, Ed. Does anybody wish to come back on that? Barry first and then Ross.
Thank you, Chairman. I go back to the point again, the fenestration appearance of these buildings with Velux windows that are taken right up to the ridge. There are no rows of tiles between the top of the Velux and the top of the ridge. It looks quite hideous. Sorry, Mr. Jackson, but I think it's quite unsuited to a new building and what purports to be copying location of farm buildings of long ago. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, Barry. Rose?
Chair, I'd like to put forward a motion to reject this planning application on the grounds of the fenestration on the roof.
Can you put your mic on to say that, Edric, please?
Sorry, thank you. Apologies. I would like to second Councillor White's proposal to save Councillor Clark doing it.
Okay. So I've got to get this right in my head. So we're going to go to a vote.
There's this first.
And yeah, I'll go to Phil's vote first with Susie. And then we come back to Ros and Edric's.
If that falls.
If that falls, yeah. So the first one is to go with, the first vote is to go with Phil's and Susie's what motion to go with the officer recommendation with some added bits and pieces. Am I right?
Sorry, Chair, for help with the condition that there should be mechanical lighting on that. It doesn't refer to the stone wall, which is a different condition.
Okay, I've got that. So does that sound right to Ed, Tom, Jenny? Okay, right, thank you. I'm sorry, I can't take you anymore, Mr. Jackson. Helen?
Can I just say, has Phil accepted Dawn's request for the condition about preserving the wall?
The wall has been, can I just say the wall's been built? It's
Are you okay with the wall?
been done.
Phil?
I just think that so much effort's gone into this plan application. They've done so much work that I think we should approve it on the conditions that the chair, vice chair and the divisional member sort it with the planning officer to get the mechanical lighting sorted.
But what about the wall that Dawn suggested?
It's built. It's built.
Yeah, Dawn, can you
But my question is just about preserving it. It just needs to be preserved. So whether it's there or not, it just needs to be preserved because it's so important to the history of the site. And I think that's really important.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to interject for a point of Mr. Chair at this point, but I believe the wall is there
Yeah.
already.
Yeah, Ed?
Just to clarify, the condition was for the permanent retention of the wall rather than to ensure its construction. And I think that was related to the setting of the monument. So I think Councillor Ham needs to confirm if that is indeed part of his proposal.
Thanks, Ed. Thanks all of you for that bit of contribution. Okay, Ros, you wanted to come back in for one more bite?
Chair, we have two very different conditions, and I'm just concerned that we're conflating the two.
Okay, but to my understanding, they are separate and one's already in place. Yeah. Yeah, Phil, they need to.
Yeah, I accepted the wall.
And I accepted it and second.
So we'll go to a vote. All those in favour of Phil's resolution or whatever, to go with the officer recommendation, all in favour, please. Haven't you counted? I couldn't hear you.
Could everyone do their hand again, please? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in favour.
6 in favour. All those against?
1, 2, 5 against.
So it's carried. The approval with the conditions. Okay, thank you. That's that one done. And now we move on to the appeals. Please, I think, who's taking those? Tom?
Thank you, Chairs. Quickly, there's 10, and councillors will probably be very pleased to see one was allowed. That was a certificate of lawfulness regarding, I think, was a holiday accommodation condition where we considered there'd been a break in the use over 10 years, and the inspector found that the appellant's evidence was compelling that there hadn't been a break, and therefore that was allowed. So that was a condition holiday accommodation. And then just quickly on the 9 others, do you want to take a?
Yep.
I have a question on appeal 6. So did you want to finish on appeals? Okay,
So you completely see all the other 9 were dismissed, and a variety of things. There was character, impact on amenity, tended to be the key issues that the inspector was agreeing with us on. There's 9 of them, but that's generally what we picked up. There was some enforcement notices that where I think there'd been that difficult thing where there'd been incremental changes at a site, and the inspector saw through what the appellant had been trying to do and agreed with us. So that's just a general outline of those other 9. But if you have anything specific, go ahead. Through the chair.
Thanks, Tom. Right, anybody wish to have comments? Who had their arm up first? Ros, so or Dawn?
I just have a question about appeal number 6. So it was refused, but it was a retrospective application and the appeal was dismissed. What happens now? So have they built something, and are they going to take bulldozers or something?
Yep, whoever wishes to answer.
Yeah, that's essentially it'll now be passed on to our enforcement team. The terms of the enforcement notice on that one were the removal of the unauthorised development and the removal of any remaining debris on that site. So yes, that would need to be demolished and yeah, all the remaining stuff removed. Yep.
Okay, Dawn. Ross.
Thank you. This may be a bit of an internal thing, but I'm forever fed up hearing about the fact that planning committees and officers get things wrong. And this isn't a case that 9 out of 10, the planning inspector has dismissed the appeal. And somehow we need to get that message, broader message out to the rest of the council, and also to the very negative comments we get in the press from 2 or 3 of our local journalists. I think this is quite a commendable record, quite frankly, that the officers, because a lot of them are delegated decisions as well as the planning committee, have got it right in terms of the planning inspector. And I think that needs to be noted, because otherwise, yet again, we'll have comments about negative comments floating around. And this is a commendable record. Thank you.
I think you're correct there, Ros, and well done for bringing it up, because we do get negative comments from all sorts of areas. So it's nice to hear you say that. Barry?
Thank you, Chairman. Absolutely echo what Ros has just said. 9 out of 10 is a pretty good record, isn't it? The other thing was Ed mentioned the enforcement people will go off to appeal number 6 that was lost and demolish these buildings. And that will be done courtesy of the enforcement department. When I try to get people to go and enforce other things that I think are planning issues, we don't get very far, Ed. We don't have any people to do it. Can we suddenly find them to demolish something, but we can't find them to go and look at health and safety issues and other issues, not just health and safety?
Thank you, Barry. Anybody here would like to answer that one, Ed?
Yeah, it's a good question, Councillor Clark, and it's a frustration I share. In terms of actually getting that demolition undertaken, that would not be the responsibility of the enforcement team themselves. The appellant would need to do that himself. We do have some capacity issues in the enforcement team. It's something that, you know, we're dealing with at the moment as best we can. But all I can say really, I think Tom might have something to add, but we've got some capacity issues really with enforcement at the moment.
Tom, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, thanks. Just to add to that, we are interviewing this Friday for enforcement officers, and hopefully within a few weeks we'll have 3 more enforcement officers, which is we all will appreciate that hugely. Sure.
I'm quite impressed by that, because I have a mobile home in my division that has been there for, I would say, 8 years minimum, that has had an enforcement notice on it, and it has not been moved. And I'm pretty sure, which is quite a long time, and I'm sure it's about 8 years. It's not far from where you used to live, Susie, actually. I think there's a certain amount of time limit on that, Tom.
It is 10 years. Do you want to send that? Email me.
I will.
Thank you.
You won't thank me for it. Ross?
Half of the new houses in my community have come through retrospective planning applications because of failure to enforce by this council over the last 20 years. And it is a real issue and a real frustration. So I appreciate and I support what you're saying, but, they get given addresses by our department, for God's sake, before the 10 years are out.
I think I will be talking to Tom about this particular one that I know of. Dawn?
Can I ask about something that's not on this appeal report? Is that possible? Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to talk about it, we've got time.
I was just asked by the people for Pack Saddle if Live West submitted an appeal within their 20-day notice.
Yes, we have had a notification of appeal, and I'll be the officer dealing with it.
Okay, lovely.
The council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Edric?
Thank you, Chair. I'm glad to see we're hopefully going to employ some more enforcement officers, because I get fed up with seeing people riding roughshod over planning law. And if we do successfully manage to get the bulldozers in there, I think we should plaster it all over our social media and all over our comms as a county and as a planning department that we take things seriously. And this is what happens if you take the mickey out of the system, putting it bluntly.
Thanks, Ed.
I think Martin wants to come in first.
Yeah, Martin D first.
Yeah, there's a lot of appeals here. Is the cost of appeals relative to the size of the development? Because we're hearing a lot about appeals that we don't really welcome because they cost huge amounts of money. An individual in this case that we're talking about appealing, are they incurring massive costs as well in these sort of smaller issues?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, it varies a lot. The big appeals, a lot of the costs are for specialists, you know, landscape, heritage, or whatever specialists. That's where a lot of the costs come. So I'm going to show my ignorance here in terms of someone appealing. The actual appeal's not the great cost. It's the amount of work you have to do to win the appeal that's where the big cost is.
Supplementary on that then. So in the case of most of these, was our decision defended by an officer rather than, say, a KC or an external agent?
Yeah, so on most of these, which are generally small scale, there's no additional fee for to lodge the appeal. The appellant would have probably had to pay a planning consultant to do the appeal. From our perspective, they would have just been responded to. They were written reps, so responded to by officers. So it's officer time. In terms, you can claim costs as well, and that's normally where the other side has been unreasonable. So we do make those claims from time to time, and appellants make the same claims of us from time to time.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you, Ed. Susie?
When you say from time to time, surely it should just be a matter of course. We should put in our costs every single time so that on all the occasions we win. Because I think everybody really what Edric and Ros have been saying is right. We've got to start pushing back on the public and the message has to get out there. You know, this exists for a reason. You have to comply. You cannot, we're not living in an anarchic state where people can just do whatever on earth they like and you know there are no real consequences, which is I think how some people view the system. The other thing is there any way or would it involve legislation that we can go, if you do not apply for planning then retrospectively apply, can we find a way of actually just fining people so that there's more vested interest in them following the system than there appears to be at the moment? Can we do that, or do we have to try to get legislation for that? Because if we're having a problem with it, so must all other areas across the country.
Who'd like to try that one?
Yeah. So on the first point, if we were of the view that the appellant had behaved unreasonably, and that could be not submitting the things that they need to submit as part of the appeal at the correct time, or even the appeal had no prospects of winning in the first place, we can say, right, we want to claim our costs for that. And we do that, and we have been successful in recent times. On the second point, I mean, a retrospective planning application is something that you can do. There's legislative provision for that, so people don't get punished as such. I think it's probably more of a question for the enforcement side of things, that we get in and enforce perhaps a bit more quickly than we have done in the past. And with, you know, our new recruits, hopefully we'll be able to do that a bit more effectively.
Yeah, go for it, Tom.
Quickly clarify a point. I realise the 3 new officers will be across the whole of Somerset. Yeah. Not just for I should have mentioned that, although we'd love to have 3 because then we could be proactive, but one of those would be East.
Okay, if we can get a bit of an improvement, it'll be great. Phil, you had a question?
We sit around this planning meeting once a month. We have quite big applications sometimes, and we sometimes turn them down. And one in particular we turned down in Kilmerston back along with White Post. And it went to appeal, and then we decided not to fight it appeal. And then recently, in the last few days, there's an application in Coalford which Ed turned down, and they've appealed, and now the council have also taken legal advice, and they're not going to fight that. So we've got one here where we've turned it down and they haven't filled. And we've got one here where the planning officer's turned down and they're not going to fight. We're going to win appeals if we don't fight. And my email box this morning has gone mad because that statement was made yesterday. Was it yesterday or Friday? Friday. Yesterday. So I don't know what I can do about that because we've got an appeal on an estate of 75 houses. The planning officer has turned it down, and now the latest thing is the council do not want to fight it. But that has put the parish council, I mean, the whole, I mean, you know what Gladman site was like.
I think,
and this site is dead opposite the Gladman site, which has not been built.
I think they're supposed to come to me, Phil, and I haven't seen one for 75 houses.
Ed turned it down. He never went anywhere because Ed turned it down.
Yes, Ros?
One of the problems of the scheme of delegation is that if the officer turns it down and the parish council turns it down, then the visibility of it is virtually zero to members until your inbox gets hit or something. I've just had somebody getting very angry because something hasn't come to committee. And I'm not sure what can be done, but if the officer's turning something down and the parish council is, then there should be some members' visibility of it, even if it's just a list or something, so that we're aware of it.
I'm not getting Ed because Ed turned it down, and Ed sent me an email yesterday saying the council, Somerset Council, has taken legal advice, and the legal advice is saying,
okay, Tom.
So, you know, we're going to win every appeal if this is the case.
But
that's why we got 9 out of 10.
But what you're describing is a process thing, and I don't know if we have a feel or a quantum as to how many of these don't get defended or whatever, because 75 houses is a major, isn't it? And I thought all majors automatically came here, regardless of the officer recommendation.
I've only had one while I've been chairman, which has come to me with a decision that the officers didn't wish to defend, and that was for substantially more than 75 houses. Edric will know where that one was. So I am surprised actually, Tom.
Can we get some clarity on the process on this?
Yeah, two things on that. Thank you, Chair. One is it seems there needs to be more robustness. That's the right word, in making sure councillors are aware of stuff that isn't in it, you know, it's a time thing, isn't it? We've got so much volume of work to get through, but we need a process that easily gets that information to ward members, and we need to look at that. The process is where there's a contrary opinion of a parish council or a ward member, it will come through the chair and the vice chair for a conversation. What should go to committee, so that there is a clear process there. But there's some things that aren't getting there, and we need to find a way of sharing that information better.
Begs the question.
You'll put your mic on, please. We still have the meeting.
In essence, what you're saying, as a ward member, I need to say something, but it should go to committee. So I need to support it or do something, which is probably not what I want to be putting into the public realm, but we need to trigger. on a, you know, substantive development. I think Phil's got a point there. But we need to find a way of getting it highlighted. It's not, we're not here to undermine the officer decision. What we're trying to do is understand why the council has not decided to fight the application. And I think that's the critical issue.
I agree with you, Ros, and I think that we do need to get something on that because it should at least come to myself and Edric as chair and vice chair, and we should be consulted because for a sizable one, because I say I was consulted thoroughly about a particular one. That was a large one where there were good reasons that the council didn't wish to defend, and. So yeah, I would have thought in the future that's something to be looked at. I don't know where we go with that, but we definitely need to find a way because I don't think that's right. That 75 houses were, and I never heard anything about it, and that's not brilliant. Okay, your turn, Ed.
Yes, so there's quite a few points there. I think on the first point, just to clarify that Councillor White made about the general scheme of delegation. So if it was a major application and the parish were objecting and the officer recommendation was for refusal, that can be refused under delegated authority without needing to come to the chair or the vice chair or committee. In terms of these two applications where the council has chosen not to defend, it's quite an unusual position, and the reason arises basically due to the change in national policy, which has shifted the ground quite a lot in housing terms. And in terms of process, having received legal advice, we made a decision in consultation with the monitoring officer, and that is the process that needs to be gone through. As I say, it's quite an unusual process, quite an unusual occurrence. I mean, we can certainly seek some more clarity for the benefit of the chair and vice chair in terms of these sorts of applications. I mean, I wouldn't expect it to be something that happens, you know, on a regular basis. But yeah, we can certainly seek some additional clarity on that point.
Maybe there's something around, we need an update on the emerging policies, because this is obviously something which is going to increasingly happen because we're going to have to make judgments against a changing backdrop. And it may be helpful for all of us to understand that changing backdrop of planning, because otherwise we'll have situations where I do appreciate Councillor Ham's inbox is being hammered on something which is not good news in terms of the integrity of the planning system and the council.
I think we can take that up with outside of the room with a few people that would need to know. So that will be done, Ros. Martin.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I think I'll just simply throw in that if we're talking about a complete change of circumstance, which the officer has indicated, then really that should come to us, I would say. I mean, the pragmatics of, yes, parish council were against, officer was against, swept through. But if this thing is, we changed to NPPF, whatever it was, then I think that should really have been flagged up and rash, effectively, it should have come to us. Because I think.
Yeah, I tend to agree again, and I think that
I'll throw that one in.
We've got somewhere outside that we can take this. Is there anyone else? Tony? Okay, Tone. Point taken. Okay. Does anybody else want anything to say quickly before we go? I'll close the meeting. Susie.
I think this is a good opportunity. I'm sorry, Tony, if you don't like it, given that we've finished relatively early and we always are busy and never have any time to actually communicate amongst ourselves. ordinarily, I think this is a good opportunity for anyone to discuss anything with reference to planning that they think is something to bring up in front of the group. Thank you. So if anyone else has got anything else, I'd love to hear it.
Okay, I think we can close the meeting and let everybody go home and have a nice cup of tea or whatever. Okay, thank you very much for attending. Cheers. Bye for now.